Aloha mai kako. Welcome back to the Mano Kahiko LomiLomi Deep Dive Series. We are discussing the difference between modern massage therapy and practice and that of traditional Hawaiian healing body work. In this video, we're really touching on the very simple fact that LomiLomi is much more than a technique and is indeed a component of the healing process, and in itself is a method and is a practice of healing. Mahalo for joining me, and let's get into the video. Okay, so mahalo everybody. I am Kumu Pa'a Kawika Foster, and we are once again in the LomiLomi Deep Dive. And what we're discussing today is very simple and straight to the point topic, and that is that LomiLomi is not a technique. Yeah. LomiLomi is a form of healing, and with this understanding from a traditional perspective and from our lineage particularly, it's very important that we understand the difference between technique and that of the healing art. Many a times today, the practice of LomiLomi is very widely misunderstood, in that it has been monopolized and also monetarized into the broader spectrum of therapeutic massage. And it has its place there. Most definitely, it has its place there. However, in the ancestral understanding, right, the Hawaiian healing touch, our ability to pass through ourselves, through our channels of connection, that of the healing power of our ancestors, of our guardians, and that of the higher powers, our gods and our goddesses. This was the means in which the practice of LomiLomi on a traditional level entered into and became a component, an integral component of the healing process that we speak of and we share about. It's also when we are understanding the principles that we speak of, the foundation that we build in our culture, in our traditions, through the understanding of aloha, unconditional love, through the understanding of pono, a righteousness and right behavior and rightful place in being, connection through pono. When we continue to build that foundation, which is based on ohana, family, and the understanding that everyone and everything in this universe is ohana to us, that we're connected to it, that we're born from the same source, particularly the place of origin, which our ancestors shared to us, that we've spoken about previously, which is po, that deep darkness from which we are born from. Hanao is the word born. When we build this foundation, when we live our lives in accordance to the principles and the teachings of our ancestors, then it is from this foundation that all of the cultural traditions and practices that we do become an integral part of our daily lives. LomiLomi is a component of the healing process that our ancestors developed. And that healing process begins with Akua, right? That higher power, that higher being. For us, in our oral traditions, in our ancient culture, there were multitudes of gods and goddesses. But it begins there, right? It begins with at least a belief in a higher power, or a higher being or beings. And then through our prayer, right, through our puli, then we're able to communicate to that source that we know to be in existence in this universe with us, and is the guiding force and the healing power that flows through us. So connecting to that and communicating to that source, and then doing the work that we need to do, the hana that we need to do to ensure that our connection to them is free and clear, that we ourselves are impono. So this next component is the process of ho'oponopono, which our ancestors developed, so that we can return to the place of clarity. We can return to a place where our light is shining fully and brightly, and we're open to receiving the healing power that our ancestors grant to us through prayer. And as we move along, then we can begin to include the other cultural practices, such as la'au lapa'au, which is the medicinal plants and herbs and medicinal medicine, and also that of LomiLomi. Then LomiLomi comes into the process, right? This overarching process of healing. And once again, LomiLomi that's the Hawaiian healing touch. That's the method in which we communicate, we channel that healing power which Akua gives to us through our touch to one another, with unconditional love, with all of the understandings of the components of the principles and the foundation that I just got done sharing. It's also extremely important for us to understand that, particularly as traditionalists and as culturalists, that LomiLomi is a component of this overarching, this broader process of healing in the methods of our ancestors. In doing so, it very much becomes a way of life, a way of living. Many times we've had practitioners of LomiLomi from all over the world and from various lineages that have come and spent time both with Lawrence and myself when we were in the Valley of Halawa. And this particular understanding always came up, right? That LomiLomi is not a technique. There's much more that must be shared and understood by those that have a calling to learn the healing touch of our ancestors, that extends far beyond that of the technique of touching someone's body. The important component, once again, is understanding how all of this interrelates with one another and becomes and creates the fabric of life for us. That everything has its place, and that understanding its purpose and reasons. So LomiLomi, from when we're talking about LomiLomi today in today's modern times, it's very much a disservice to only consider LomiLomi as another method of massage or another technique to add to the roster of um, healing modalities that one can, you know, incur in their pursuit to develop as a practitioner of modern or alternative practices of healing today. I can't tell you how many times I've heard Lawrence speak about this very important part of the understanding of LomiLomi. So many times there have been many people that come and say, will you teach me LomiLomi? And the minute that comes forward as a question and as a request, Lawrence has always been right there to say, first and foremost, what is your purpose and what is your reason for wanting to learn this cultural practice? And secondly, that if it's to learn the technique or the strokes of the practice, then it's important to go somewhere else. Right? We teach we share LomiLomi, we share the entirety of the understanding of the practice of the tradition from our lineage. And it's not just about one component versus the other. It's understanding its importance and its significance in the entirety of the culture and the way of life and the way of thinking of our ancestors. So I find myself today when people come to learn LomiLomi from me, I find myself repeating very much the same teachings and phrases and questions that I once heard him speak and share and ask for those interested in learning about the art and the practice of LomiLomi. LomiLomi steps into the realm of healing when you make that connection. LomiLomi steps into the realm of healing when you when you pray and you reach out and you make contact and you open yourself to the healing power of Akua, the healing power of that source which you believe in. LomiLomi enters into the realm of healing when the foundation and the understandings of what unconditional love is, and that it, in and of itself, aloha is also a way of life and a way of thinking. That ho'oponopono, for example, isn't just a practice for the moment in time that is adhered to resolve the issues at hand, but rather it also is a way of life. So too LomiLomi, and all of the understandings that our ancestors had in regards to the act of laying your hands upon your ohana, your family, to that healing touch. So, mahalo again, everyone, for being here, for listening. This is my share, and It's very simple, and it's a very clear and direct statement. LomiLomi is not a technique. It is a way of healing. Mahalo.